Hello, my name is Jim Royal. Welcome to my channel on YouTube. I am a huge Beatle fan, and I have decided to make my first review on one of my favorite solo Beatle artists, Paul McCartney. And this is an album called Pipes of Peace, and it was originally released in Halloween of 1983. One of the reasons why I chose to make this my first review is because this was the first Beatle-related album that I ever bought. Actually, I wanted to show this. The day it came out, before I had my driver's license, I remember it was a gloomy Halloween day, and I rode my bike miles upon miles to, a record store to pick this up on the day it came out. And this is the cassette. This is the actual one that I picked up. And it's interesting because I remember I went home. I had a little Sony Walkman that I had. I put it on. I listened in the dining room table. Listened to it a few times. And the thing about Paul McCartney, sometimes his music grows on you a little bit, and that's what it did. Really cool. But this is the actual cassette right here. And it's interesting because you've got him on the cover of the cassette. On the CD and on the LP, you've got this on the cover. And then if we turn it over, you've got Paul on the back there. So I thought that was interesting. Before that came out, though, I picked up the first single off the album, and that was a collaboration between Paul McCartney and Michael Jackson. In those days, everything that Michael Jackson did right after Thriller turned to gold. So he was still doing really well. Well, the first song was Say, Say, Say. They both wrote it together. And I like this back photo a lot too. That's kind of cool. And then they have a song on there called Ode to a Koala Bear, which was the only way for many years to get it on, the only way you can ever get that was just on this single period. When he remastered it in '93, it wasn't on there. So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. And then in 2015, in October, the remastered series for the album, he put it on the CD and the LP, which is pretty cool. So that's it right there. This song was already #1. This came out in the summer. They were playing the video a lot on MTV. And during that time period, what I am going to bring up occasionally is the video. I'll keep referring to the video. I would recommend that you guys go on YouTube and check it out if you haven't seen the videos. There's also something called McCartney Years, and it has most of his videos on there, and that came out about 10 years ago. You can purchase that still, so that was pretty cool. Anyway, this is it. It was just really, really fun. It's a fun song. It is a little outdated today. You just don't hear it anymore either on oldie stations. But anyway, it is a fun song. I've always liked it, and I think it was a good collaboration. It did go to #1 here, and I think it might have made #1 in the UK also. So anyway, what I wanted to do is I wanted to review this album, and I know I'm very biased because this was the first, album that I picked up, related to, him and the Beatles. Well, actually, my first album I ever picked up, I was even younger. I was like 12. The Beatles' Red Album, 1962 to 1966. I remember going to the cashier and just, pouring my change and, my little coins and dollars and stuff on the register. I'm sure they weren't happy with that. But anyway, I'm going to review this for you today. Part of what I'm trying to do is people that might not know as much about his music, or maybe where to start if maybe you're a new fan. So I'll try. I'm a fan. I've been a fan since I was about 12. So I will give you my recommendations and maybe where to start. Anyway, Pipes of Peace gets blasted from a lot of critics. It's a shame. It really is. There are definitely some high points on this album. This album, its birth initially goes back to 1980, a few years prior. Paul McCartney was working with his band Wings, and he was getting ready to go in the studio and record another album with them. Anyway, he phoned famed Beatle producer George Martin, and he asked him, he says, we haven't worked together for a while. I'd like you to produce my new album. So he decided to come on board. When he was working with Paul, he noticed that Paul would talk to the other Wings members, and he would say, hey, try to sound like Ringo on drums at this point, or try to sound like this. And he said to Paul, he says, Paul, why don't you make this a solo album? Tug of War was that album. And he says, I actually have these people guest on your album. So, Paul decided to do that. And some of the early songs during the sessions were with Wings members. Denny Lane, for example, had been with the band for 10 years. So that's interesting too. Anyway, I'm going to start it out. Tug of War came out. It was supposed to be a double album. They decided against it, and what they decided to do, because they recorded so much material, some of the material wound up on here, and they decided to have two different themes: Tug of War, Pipes of Peace. So here we go with Pipes of Peace. This particular one is the Paul McCartney Archive Collection. It came out October of 2015. It is really, really nice. I just love this thing. And on the back here, this is the back again. The regular album, and then there's some bonus tracks, a lot of demos, some B-sides. So let me tell you a little bit about it. First of all, this production, if I was to rate it 10 out of 10 as far as the production values go, I would say it's a 10. George Martin does a fabulous job with this. And the first song, for example, Pipes of Peace, starts everything off, and it is just wonderful. He has a nice orchestra, and the video is also cool. It's set in World War I. Check it out. Paul McCartney plays two roles on the battlefield. Pretty neat. The song made it to #1. It was released as the A-side in the UK. It made it to #1 there, and it was a B-side to the song So Bad here in the States. Pipes of Peace is a really nice song. It's talking about wanting to play the pipes of peace. Let's stop fighting. Let's learn to live with one another. And it's a nice song. I've always enjoyed it. It's one of his best. And the next song is Say, Say, Say. I've already talked about that one. Big song. Like I said, prior to this album coming out, by the time this album came out, the video was in heavy rotation, and it was already #1. So that was really nice. Awesome tune. Next song is called The Other Me. The Other Me is a song that's a nice standout track. It's something that's always been a favorite of mine. What I have enjoyed most about it is the fact that Paul is in just rare, great form. His voice is the best that it could be. And I read the liner notes, and I did some other research before doing this video. And it also says that he played most of the instruments himself. And he's talking about, I know I've been a crazy fool treating you the way I did. Those are some of the lines. And he's talking to his love, and he's just saying, look, I know I made some mistakes, and you saw a side of me that that maybe I don't want out, and there are other sides to me. I'm this other person, and together we'll find the other me. And I think that's how I interpret it anyway. The next song is called Keep Undercover. It's one of my favorites on the album, and it's actually one of the early demos that he recorded in 1980. And I'm going to show you the cassette here real quick, because this cassette, for the first 10 years, when I would listen to this cassette, this is all I had. This is a physical thing. I would play it. Well, anyway, let me take this out so you can see it. It's kind of cool. It's actually on the original Columbia label, which he was, an artist for 5 years during that period. So that's pretty cool. All right. Well, anyway, you listen to this song, and it was funny in the sense that at the beginning I would hear this kind of drop out of audio, and I was like, wow, what is that? And it just for like a second, right at the beginning part, and then they go into the fast piano part, and I'm like, what is that? And it turned out that it was actually something physical with my particular tape. 10 years later, I bought the CD, and it didn't have a problem at all. and I got to listen to it. I was a kid, and I was thinking, oh, maybe they just had a great take, and they didn't want to, mess it up. They didn't want to have to redo it because they had magic there. So anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. But that was Keep Undercover. And then the next song is called So Bad. But anyway, before I go on that, Keep Undercover had some kind of Paul McCartney lyrics, lyrics that he's known for, like, what good is butter if you haven't got bread? What good is art if it hurts your head? Might as well stay in bed. Keep out of trouble till the battle is ceased. Keep out of trouble till the prisoners are released. It's Paul McCartney. You got to give him credit. He's just having fun, He's just having fun. Well, the next song is called So Bad, and it is one of those songs that has grown on me through the years. There's a nice video. Actually, the video is set, like a white studio. You have Paul McCartney, his wife Linda McCartney on there. You have a guy named Eric Stewart who was formerly with 10cc. Later, he played a little bit on this album, and he later collaborated with him on the next the next album. It was Press, a couple albums later. And then, of course, you have Ringo Starr playing drums. Well, they're all in the video. They're just dressed to the, the nines. They just look like sharp-dressed men, women. They're looking their best in their suits. Well, Linda's the best she's ever looked on there. Okay, I've never seen her look that great. But she really does shine there. And it's just a fun video. They're having fun. They're lip-syncing to the song in the studio. And it's just fun. You should check it out. The song, though, actually was a top 20 hit here, and it was in heavy rotation on MTV. In those days, everybody watched MTV, whether they make videos now or not. I believe they do for a lot of artists. Everybody watched all these videos from these artists at the time, and that was also the magic point about that. So Bad is a song. He has this very high voice that he uses, girl type voice, like he did in an earlier song called Girlfriend from London Town on Wings. Check that out. Later, by the way, Michael Jackson did cover that for Off the Wall. But So Bad, it's a love song. He's just singing really, and if you leave, my heart will go. He goes on like that, and you're like, oh my gosh. But as I get older and I respect what he's saying, I just kind of say, you know what, I really like the song. I like what he's talking about. Well, this concludes the first half of the CD, or the LP, okay? If we were to stop right here on just side A, from 10 stars being the best, 1 out of 10, 10 being the best, I would have to say right off, this would be 8 out of 10. Okay. However, we've got the second side. That is an issue I have a problem with. It starts off with a song called The Man. Now, The Man is another collaboration with Michael Jackson. They wrote it together, and I don't know what it sounds like. It has some orchestra in there. It just sounds like a really outdated. I read somewhere, someone said it sounded like it was from an old TV show that was canceled, that was barely on. I don't know. It's interesting. It would make a wonderful B-side for a 45, a single, but not necessarily as an album track, It was supposed to actually be in February they were going to release it as a single, and it's interesting. I believe there was a song called Backyard. I don't recollect exactly what it was, but there's bootlegs of Paul singing this other song, and that was supposed to be a B-side, at least that title. Anyway, the song never saw a release date. February of '84 when it was supposed to be released. The McCartneys got busted in Barbados for marijuana possession, and they decided to kill it, which was probably a good idea. The next song is called Sweetest Little Show. And this is a favorite of mine. It's a nice song. It's a nice, B-side album track, okay? Paul plays most of the instruments on it. It's almost like he's in a vaudeville act, like he's by himself, and he's just up there a one man, and he's playing. You hear a lot of like acoustic guitar on it, and it's kind of funny because there's an instrumental area where he's just bridge, where he's just kind of playing the instruments, the instrument, and it's a lot of fun. Sweetest Little Show. You know, it's almost like he's performing for you as an individual, you know. Like he does sometimes in concert when he does tributes to John and George, when he does Here Today, the nice ballad, and Something, you know, on ukulele, which is really fun. That song goes into a song called Average Person. And Average Person is just, I almost think of it as a continuation of, Penny Lane, which is pretty interesting. And anyway, it's a fun song. I definitely enjoy it, but it has a kind of a boring quality to it. You know, it's almost like you know, he's talking about, you know, boxers and waitresses, and it's like, no, 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 no. You know, you don't want to hear that. So, you know, look at the average person, see the man on the street, do, 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 do. And then he's doing something like he did from Ram, Munkleberry Moon Delight. He's doing something different. He's doing ow, 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 ow. Anyway, that is the fun part of it, but it just goes on and on and on. Now, there are demos for Sweetest Little Show and Average Person on here, which I think is kind of fun. The other thing after that, then you go into a song called Hey Hey. Now, Hey Hey is a collaboration. It's an instrumental. Very outdated today, and maybe it was just a good, you know, warm-up jam that him and Stanley Clarke, a famous jazz bassist, did together. I like the song, but it's just kind of there, you know. There's nothing spectacular about it. It's interesting. It's for its time, but I don't know. I never heard anything like it. I'm not going to completely trash it because I think Paul and him were having a great time, and that's what counts. I just think maybe it was something that should have been left off the album. Maybe would have been on a nice 12-inch. All right, next song is called Tug of Peace. Now, when I used to listen to this often at the time, back in the day, I looked at it kind of like, you know, it was an instrumental, even though it wasn't. What it does is it incorporates the lyrics from the title cut Pipes of Peace and Tug of War, that song from the prior album. And I think what he's trying to do here is trying to bring the theme that he originally started with the first song, even though he didn't really follow it. He's trying to bring it to a close. He's trying to, you know, hey, let's have, you know, we're having conflicting war and peace, war and peace. You know, let's just have peace. Let's have peace, you know, win. And that's what I think he tries to say. Like I said, it sounded like an instrumental for me, but then I listened to it recently. It's like, yeah, he does have lyrics, but he's saying them really quick. He's not really saying anything new that he didn't say in the other two songs. It's interesting, but it's unnecessary. The next song and the last one on the album is called Through Our Love. Now, Through Our Love is a wonderful Paul McCartney ballad. I really enjoyed a lot, and really just am loving it. He's always great with those ballads like Yesterday and stuff, and it's a wonderful love song. I remember hearing it from time to time on the radio, kind of obscure radio stations. You know, it wasn't a big hit or anything like that. Really did enjoy that. So that would end the album. Now, there's some extra additional stuff on here. You have Average Person demo on the remaster that came out in 2015. Keep Undercover demo, Sweetest Little Show demo. It's Not On demo. Simple as That demo. You have a new mix of Say, Say, Say from 2015, which is interesting because it has different lyrics, which I thought was pretty fun. Ode to a Koala Bear's finally there, Twice in a Lifetime, and then Christian Bop. Last thing regarding this was a museum piece somewhere, and I think he put the instruments in there. But you know, I thought it was pretty fascinating. It was an art exhibit, and he decided to make it as his album cover and also continuation back cover, which I thought was really fun. Well, rating this album from 1 out of 10, 10 being the best, I'd have to say it's a 6 out of 10, and that's just because of some of the flaws on the B-side. Well, thank you for listening to my video, watching my video. Please make sure that you subscribe and I will definitely have many more videos in the future. Thank you.